Hello, Delaware County. How are you today? And welcome to the Whistler podcast with me, Elisabeth Edgell. I'm the owner of Delaware County Community Awareness and the Manifest Destiny Reporter. And this is with me is Rick Yencer today. He is an author and a newsman. And how are you today, Rick?
Oh, great. We survived the northern lights and the magnetic storm, and everything's working today, so.
Okay. All right. Well, we are calling this episode this week Falling Through the Cracks. And I think it'll be pretty apparent why we've named it that. As you know, our largest stories are at the end of the podcast, so make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you share this on your social media accounts. We'd like to get the word out. We'd like to build the listening. We are on every podcast channel. We are on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of them.
All over.
And I'm setting up on Threads this afternoon.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Great.
So I had some trouble with my Instagram account. I couldn't remember because my phone's off. So you have to use it and you have to sign in through with your Instagram account. So that's hooked to your Facebook. Rick's not real social media savvy, but
no, I'm more in person.
Right.
You know that, and we did a little in person this morning downtown.
We did. All right, we're going to move on to our announcements, and we are going to start with the Work One relocation that we found out about.
Oh, yes. Well, it was just on my way home last week, and I noticed there were signs up, the old Work One out in Lindenbrook on Purdue. It was kind of a remote location they brought back from the downtown about 10 years ago. They moved out there, and it was a small space, and as you know, unemployment comes and goes, but in this place, if you don't have a computer, you're not online, you can go in and file your unemployment claims. You can also file for job openings. They've relocated to what some people might think of that building, the old Tucson Tool, but now it has a host of uses, as you see in the 4600 block of Bethel Avenue.
Yeah, that's way up there, though. How are people going to get there?
There is still a bus stop there. One of the last bus stops at Morrison, just down the street, and Bethel still serves that because they want to make sure that they still have some type of public transportation.
Yeah, but still, it's far out there. It's not as accessible.
Well,
to
let me
people
tell
that
you.
want to ride their bikes
Let me tell you. I call that Mecca not because of the mosque that's there, but because you draw a circular mile-long circle around Morrison and McGaggard Road. More than 10,000 people live in that circle. That is the most highly populated place in Muncie, Indiana. And even though a lot of those are apartments of either Ball State students or temporaries, it still is where.
Yeah, but they're not using this service. The people that are living downtown and homeless
and
trying to get jobs are.
Yeah, but remember, all of Work Ones, the employment services by the state of Indiana are online. They're all virtual.
Yes, but these people don't have, the homeless people don't have online access.
I understand, but again, they can get bus service out there during the day to still access. And what they wanted was a place that they could have job fairs because the other space was limited. I think we heard this same issue 10 years ago when they moved out to Lindenbrook because it was just a small office. But at that time, the employment was full in this state, kind of like it is now.
But if it was downtown, because I take the buses, if you take the bus downtown to the mid station,
right,
you can walk there from there. You don't have to take another bus. If you go anywhere in the city and you don't live in that area, you have to take a bus, go down to the mid station. That's at least a half hour to a 45-minute
wait. I know.
And then hop on another bus. The likelihood of people doing it, I think we're going to see. Let me finish. I think they're going to see a drop in the participation because they're moving it out there.
Well, I talked to Gabby Davis, who's the business manager for the region. And of course, this just doesn't serve Muncie. This serves like 9 counties along the Ohio border from Hartford City down to Connorsville. And they also do a lot of job searching that they bring people in from other communities.
Yeah, but we can't be dealing with other people and communities before we deal with our own and do what's best for our own people.
I understand, but that's how the employment system in Indiana is set up. It's set up in regions with multiple counties and one satellite.
Ridiculous.
Well, it's been that way for a while, and that's
that
something.
doesn't make it right.
Well, and that's what the legislature and the governor see in how to deal with the employment issue.
See, we have different ideas on this governor anyway, but we won't go there.
Oh well, but that's a state
this
program.
This is a recurring theme that many of these places, like employment, they're overwrought, they're overrun, and they don't
exactly.
just be overwrought with people from Muncie, much less people from
9 counties.
Yeah, like that's ridiculous. Like,
well, now they do have smaller offices in Newcastle, Rushville.
if they want anything big done, they have to come here, right?
And
That's
Richmond,
the
but
main office.
Well,
Okay, well,
that's
Why
state
didn't they tell
government.
us they were moving? Why didn't we get a picture?
They're going to have an open house next month around the 14th to kick it off. They're still hooking everything up. You saw all those computer stalls, and when I was in there, and they'd only been there for a week or 10 days, they were still trying to get the thing up and running. They answer the phones, and they direct.
They answer the phones?
Yeah, they did answer.
Wow, that's great.
Well,
yeah, we ran into a bit of a problem with that yesterday.
Well, that was a local government. That wasn't state government. Now there is a big difference.
Yes. Do they stay till 4 o'clock?
Yes,
They
they
answer
work.
the phones till
Yes,
then?
they work.
Good example.
But again, it is a bigger space. That's how the state sets up employment services. And as Gabby told me, most of everything is online. So.
Okay, well, there you have it. If you have any questions about where that's located, or if you are using that service and you need help or assistance in figuring out your bus schedule, please just get a hold of us. You can get a hold of me through the Manifest Destiny Reporter page, or you can always reach us on Delaware County Community Awareness.
And we also put the link for the state employment site in that story that's on Manifest Destiny.
That's right.
So again,
and that went up this morning.
and this is an exclusive because we haven't seen it anywhere else.
No, we sure haven't.
And there'll be some other exclusives today you're going to like.
Well, we're going to move on to the announcement about the Ethics Advisory Board. And I've been chosen to be on that board as one of the citizens. But we were going into the city council expecting them to hire the accountant that they haven't hired or put on the board yet.
Right.
They've appointed.
Yeah, we were down there on Monday.
So Jeff Robinson, the president, had asked everybody to submit their accountants, anyone that they wanted to submit for this. And when they got there, that didn't happen. But let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about the ethics board, okay? So what we got going on here is it's an ethics advisory committee, and it's proposed 7-person committee. But then Jeff said I think we have 9. I think it ended up being 9 because they added something before this thing came out.
Yeah, if you count, there's 9.
Yeah, he did 8
in this.
last one, and we have 1 to go. So there's going to be 9. But it's consisting of a professional in human resources, a certified public accountant, an attorney that's licensed to practice in the state of Indiana, a representative of the Ball State University Bowen Center for Public Affairs, an ethics professor from Ball State University Department of Philosophy, and 2 Muncie citizens. The committee will be responsible for establishing standards and guardrails, defining composition, terms, method of appointment, power and authority, and jurisdiction of the City of Muncie's Ethics Commission. So that means that we will be setting the standard going forward for the first board.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big
committee.
Job to put together all the.
He had mentioned it might be 18 months, when they were batting this all around. However, my paperwork that I got the other day after taking my oath, my certificate, said that it was no limit on time or service. So it's
no sunset.
Yeah, there's no time limit on it. So,
interesting.
Additionally, the Ethics Advisory Committee will be responsible for creating an official City of Muncie Code of Ethics to govern the official public conduct and actions of elected officials, appointees to boards and commissions, employees and individuals and entities that have a business relationship with the City of Muncie. And that last part's important. The City of Muncie's Code of Ethics shall set forth specific standards governing nepotism, whistleblower protection, gifts, food, drink, entertainment, travel expenses, disclosure requirements for entities that do business with the City of Muncie, and other standards to be defined by the Ethics Advisory Committee. So next we're going to watch a little bit of the video so that you can see how this went down, because it was kind of interesting, wasn't it?
It kind of started again like the debate a couple months ago.
Yeah, you can tell there's still some angst there.
Reluctance?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by anything that's going on ethically right now.
I thought it was an election year, wasn't it?
It is.
Okay.
Appointment, if you recall, last month we made multiple appointments, 8 to be exact, to the Ethics Advisory Committee formed by this council. We have one appointment still to be made, and that is of one certified public accountant. I did not receive any letters of interest. I think at the last meeting, I think we had all talked about maybe reaching out within our networks. So I'm happy to entertain any nominations of a certified public accountant at this time. Hearing none. That's okay. We'll try again next month. If it pleases the council, I would like for that Ethics Advisory Committee to start their work. So if it pleases the council, what I'd like to do is I'd like to email each member of that group to help them get their first meeting established. You know, there's no officers of that group. There's no, the group is not met yet. I don't know if any of them even know each other. So what I'd like to do, if it pleases the council, is to send out that email. Likely send a doodle poll to find out the best time for them all to hold their first meeting. At that meeting, they can select officers, and then they can kind of take it from there. So if that's all right with the council.
I would suggest that we wait till we fill the position to be fair to the next person.
Well, I think in this first meeting, it would be, the first meeting would just be an introductory meeting, and then to hopefully get a consistent meeting moving forward. We're hopeful that we can find a certified public accountant to serve on this committee, by next month, but I certainly don't want to delay any further.
They have a quorum, I think it's their right to move forward.
I mean, I'm happy if there's a majority that object to me doing that, then I'm happy to, I serve at the will of the council. So if there's a majority that thinks that I should wait, I'm happy to do that. If the majority is okay with me moving forward with that, then I'll do that as well. I don't hear any more objections. Yeah, let's do a quick voice vote just to be sure, because I want to make sure that I'm acting on behalf of the council. All in favor of allowing me to send an email to the Ethics Advisory Committee to getting first meeting scheduled to allow them to select officers and to begin their work, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you very much. I'll do that, and I will give you all a report at the next month's meeting if we're able to hold that meeting during the month of July. That is it for...
So, you saw what happened. They did not have the last member, and they decided to go ahead and start the board's first meeting. And I was kind of surprised that, Roe had spoke up that it might be fair, and then voted yes immediately. That was a little weird.
Well, I think she's, like I say, it's an election year, but as you noticed, Jeff, who is running for mayor, practiced democracy in a very good way.
He did.
When there was some reluctance, okay, let's take a vote. Who wants to proceed?
And then was it Clark that also agreed with Roe? I couldn't see him at the time, but I think that was who talked.
There was some discussion about the attorney and whether Alan Wilson's still a practicing attorney.
There was.
But again,
actually, technically, we looked it up online because you can do that.
Right.
And remember, he is listed as retired.
Okay.
The city attorney said something to the effect of he just needed, there's something they need to do, and he would be sufficient to serve.
Oh, well, all they need to do is
Legalese.
re-up him. And like I say, I think they just need to move forward to make sure that people know that this is a much needed group to oversee local government, not just because of what happened in the last administration, but in other ways, what's going on here with elected officials also being appointed officials and running government And of course, we've got the case of the mayor, who's also the redevelopment director.
And
We
have
need a
people
clear.
campaigning while they're working in
Well,
city buildings.
when did you see that?
When I took my oath.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, obviously there needs to be some oversight then.
Yes, there does. And I'm agreeing with Jeff that we needed to get this started because I want to get it started with this council because they're the ones that started
Right.
it. And so if there's any last minute things, they can address them before we're set in stone and we're ready to go.
Exactly, because
But I feel I wasn't done. Sorry, I wasn't done. But I also feel as if we have to be very careful because we're an ethics committee. We need to make sure that we're not moving too fast that somebody can throw shade on it, that they can
Correct.
disparage it. Because saying that we didn't have a full team amassed, saying that we didn't, that we're jumping things, I don't want to get started off that way. So I'm gonna suggest after this we slow down and do it correctly. Every step of the way. If we're not ethical in this, then it will be for nothing. And you know how I feel about wasting my time.
oh, I know, and I know that you're very ethical in not only your practice but your life too.
I try to be, and there's been some disparaging remarks thrown my way, and I don't even see you. I don't hear you. I don't care what people think about me or what I'm doing. Obviously, the people in charge thought I was qualified, and we're going to go with that. And I'm going to do
Exactly.
the best job that I can do, and I'm not going to let the naysayers, just like I don't now, I'm not going to let them start having a place in my life.
Well, and again, Jeff will make a good leader. He
Yeah.
is a good leader
I did
now,
like the way he handled that.
and he's done other things during the course of his term to show that
Yeah.
he cares.
Yeah, and that he is about the people. I love what he does with public information. I'll never forget what he said. I don't care if the citizens are up here talking. If one of them wants to say something, we'll stay here all night. And that's what I want out of my council person, a can-do attitude. You don't go through the whole terrible experience of getting elected and getting on the ballot and running for office, all to get there and fizzle out right there. You have to keep at this. This is something you work at every day to be a steward for the public.
Exactly.
I mean, you are, I am. There's different levels of them for sure. Now we're going to move on, and there's just a few things that I wanted to cover with the Board of Works meeting and the Sanitation Department meeting. And every one of these meetings usually starts with, accepting the minutes from last meeting, taking a roll call to see who all is there, if they're excused absences, and then they move on to usually accepting the claims when it's the Board of Works. Sanitation Department is their own entity, so they do the same thing. And so, Board of Works update, I'm going to let you watch just a little bit that's about the claims because I want to talk on this a moment, and then we're going to watch the sanitation one, and that way you can, it'll cover what I want to talk about because I
Okay.
think this is a problem that I'm seeing in the meetings, and I can't believe people are allowing this. So let's just see what we think here. Let's go with the Board of Works claims.
Mr. Wright, presenting the Register of Claims.
Good morning. I just wanted to review from the email I sent out yesterday afternoon on this week's claims. We had our monthly billing to Indiana, Michigan Power for traffic signals and street lights, an ambulance purchase by EMS, a couple ARP claims, some paving, and our usual healthcare costs. And one thing I will say that I will follow up on a $6 claim that was brought to my attention earlier. So that'll open it up to any questions.
Well, I'll mention the claim itself on page 16 in the, let me find it real quick here.
At the bottom of 16. Questionable.
Yeah, it's a charge out of the police department and other services and charges, so that doesn't make it very clear either, but the description is questionable expense. So I thought if there's ever a question that we need to raise, that's it.
That would be a questionable expense, yes.
It's not for a lot of money, but
Well, I'm gonna be stopping by
All right.
the police department on the way up after the meeting anyway, so we'll discuss that with them.
thank you.
$6.36, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and, okay, do we have a motion to approve the claim?
So basically, with that, you saw that no amounts were given publicly on any of the claims that he brought up. He just said ambulance, this, and this, and the only thing that he gave an amount for is the $6 that they said was a what they call it? A questionable, and
With
they
the
wrote
police department.
that in for $6. So that shows that. Now let's watch the. Hold on a second here. I gotta do some changing around here. Whoosh. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna watch the sanitation claims.
$26,026.26. We probably couldn't do that again if we tried.
And that number was
These were also previously circulated with some explanations. Anybody wishing to clarify any of the claims for the public?
$1,226,026.
Yeah, I'll clarify a couple of charges on page 5. We had a charge from Zones for $6,000 and another one for $1,100, and those were both due to our enterprise-wide network upgrade project that we have going on for some networking switches. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. Adam?
Yes, so there's a $150,000 claim for to be paid to the city of Muncie. That is for Muncie Public Works providing patching, paving, and concrete services to MSD. So that's per our local agreement from last year. So hopefully it's still working out well, and Tom would probably tell me at length if it wasn't, but that's what that one's for.
Anything else?
That's it.
You good? David? Page 9, at sewer maintenance, we upgraded some fencing there that was needing to be replaced for safety and security reasons there at the plant. It was with city fence and sales for a total of $22,000.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any further discussion? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve the claims as submitted.
So moved.
Second. A motion from Mike, second by David. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Claims are submitted or approved and will be.
So basically, what you saw there was the city controller gave the total number was $1,226,026.26. That was the entire amount of the claims, right, altogether. And he chose, out of all those claims, he chose a $6,000 one and an $1,100 one for network switches to talk about. And what I'm saying by showcasing both of these, and my questions are this, is we're not giving amounts. I understand they don't have to go through and list every single one, but the ones that they're showcasing are laughable. Like they're like distractible, but they're not mentioning bigger claims. Don't you have the claim list from the Board of Works?
Yes,
Can I see that real quick?
I was sitting there in both of those meetings, and I went up before the Board of Works and said, "Oh, hey, by the way, you're spending like 1.3 million on paving to E&B. What's that about? And what streets have been paved? Because the streets aren't being paved. They're barely getting the potholes fixed." So they explained what streets they were paved, and the city engineer gave me a list later that we'll talk about. But the big claims, and it's like the Center District too. Every other week they pay several $100,000 their primary contractor, Bowen Construction out of Indy, to do all of this sewer work. What you see in front of you there on Wheeling by Amazing Joe's. They're going to start another big project over by Northview School in Lanewood. that's going to amount to a couple million
Main
dollars.
Street's been torn
And you
up
never,
in Washington.
and you never hear what they're really spending the money on.
And not only that, but when we get to talk about the roads later in the podcast under our main stories, there's a lot of money that's been thrown out as well as budgeted already for. And, before COVID, we were budgeting for our roads. And in fact, in 2020, Ridenour, when he took over, he had almost doubled the street and funds and what they were going to use
Right.
for budget. So they were already doubling it, and then they just have gone hog wild. And it's really hard to get a hold of the list of the streets that they were supposed to have done in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and this year. So a lot of those names that they gave your streets that they talked about have been on several years lists and not been
Right,
done
they
yet.
repeat.
Yes. So we're going to go and do a little bit more talking about that later, and we're also going to do a lot more investigative reporting on this, because I would hate to think that there's been double dipping or things being used for things that we could have had potholes filled with.
Well, and it surprised me when they explained that they were paying E&B, they were paying E&B for a lot of last year's work. And I've heard from the company that, they're kind of dragging their feet. So,
Paying them.
yeah, we need to look at this a lot more.
And it's very complicated, and they've got the information spread out all over the place.
And
so.
you, the people, every time you fill up your tank, you're paying gasoline taxes. Every
Yes,
time you
you
get
are.
a license plate, you're paying wheel taxes.
Yes,
you
are.
pay for this every time you drive or license.
And I'll say it again, this is why your local politics and who's in these offices it's not only important and integral to what you're doing here because it affects you in your pocketbook immediately with local government. It's
Of course.
also you can interact with these people, you can get to them, you can go to the meetings and talk to them and speak your mind.
Exactly.
And you can't access Trump, you can't access Biden, but you can access these people, other than the mayor.
Well, now he was available to me a couple times this week.
That's great.
He's trying.
Oh, okay. All right. That's what you call it. We'll go ahead and we're going to move on. There was one more thing from the Board of Works, and I've seen this happen in most of the meetings this year, and it started out every once in a while, but now it's a question that's asked by Miss Linda Gregory, who I have great respect for. She's been a champion in what she has given back to her community on appointed and elected boards, and many other things. She's been in this arena for a while, and I believe she's misunderstood. However, when you asked a recovery place a couple of weeks ago the same question, I think it's kind of, there's no real reason why you're asking. It's not illegal.
Well, it shows she didn't know what the program was
Well,
about.
it just shows that it's not really coming from a place where it's a good motivation.
Oh, well,
it's
okay.
flippant.
We
all
have to
right?
watch this again.
Yeah, we're going to watch this part. It's just a short little blurb.
Those are for Vince Wolf. Morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is John Beatty. I'm representing Mr. Wolf today. Again, he's at work. He works for MITS, so he can't be here. It's the same thing like we did last year, but this year he's turning 60, and it's a blessing that he's able to be 60. So he wants to have a celebration for his birthday on his property. And that little side street on Pershing Drive, he wants to have that for his grandkids so they can ride their little scooters like he did. And we didn't have any problems last year at all, so.
So the road is going to be closed. Pershing Drive from Kirby Drive, right?
Yes.
Pershing Drive from Kirby to First.
Yeah, well, Pershing will be closed from Kirby to First Street.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay, just to make sure we're clear.
Yeah.
And it is listed for from 12 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Yes.
So basically all day. That's a long time. Okay.
Yeah.
Linda, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I'm assuming that you will not have any alcoholic beverages involved.
That I'm gonna be honest. I don't know that to be if there will be or not.
All I do is urge that you
Yeah,
plan for that in case.
yes. No.
You're not providing.
I asked.
No, I'm not providing that. No.
I asked everybody.
Yep, that's perfectly clear. I understand.
And this is my issue. She started out going, I'm assuming you're not having any alcoholic beverages. Why would she assume that it's a birthday party of an adult who's 60 years old?
Exactly.
And he's done this before, he's had these things before. She should be concerned with, was there any problems at the last event? What kind of event it is and who is doing it. The gentleman works at the MITS station, so he's probably an upstanding citizen and employee. They all seem to know him. And so it just seems to me that this, like the noise ordinance that they're trying to kind of loosely police that doesn't really exist, they're stopping things at midnight. And you know, I have a problem with that too. I have a problem with the bars. They can still stay open till 3, but they don't. But they want to complain because they don't make money and they don't have customers. So
if there's not a problem and people are being cool, it's just
there's a whole world that doesn't live in the daytime too. You know?
I know
there's
that.
third shift of us. There's those of us that do things at night. I work all night, so there's not a restaurant. There's nowhere to go.
But
And now you're going to question what adults do. I mean, that's not even. I looked. It's not even a question on the form that you filled.
oh, okay.
You know, why is it a question? She's been doing this, but then she asked the addiction services if they were going to have alcohol.
Yeah, I talked to Abby, and she kind of wondered, who is she? Does she know what we are? I said, obviously not.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a well thought out question. It's flippant, and it's meant to just dig in and get information. And where's that go? Is it police officers watching? Is it, you know?
Well, anybody can watch this Facebook.
Exactly. So
meeting.
it's just kind of cast a shade on something that hasn't even happened. You know, there isn't even a problem yet.
Well,
You know, it's a little bit of your privacy, and you shouldn't have to answer that question.
but they're using a public street, and then it becomes a public matter.
Well, if it was that important, I'd done the question. You know, I'm just saying. And I'm not the only one that thinks so.
Okay.
And I had to put that in there because it's a point, you know. You keep letting them and meddling in your life, and you're going to have government in every step of the way.
I tend to agree with that.
Now we're going to move on, and Rick's going to bring us a breaking story about discrimination in the city of Muncie.
Oh, yeah, well, let's do that now. There was a issue that we brought up at the city council meeting on Monday that came to our attention about a case of an employee accusing the government, her employer, the building commissioner, Steve Selvey, of racial discrimination and sexual harassment.
Oh, wow.
That employee, Kathy Carey, has been a public employee for some time, and she's a community leader. She's a big partisan, works for the state party, and of course she's been a fixture. She was the last one of the last elected school board members before Ball State was given the job of taking over Muncie schools. Kathy had filed a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and she also had raised issues about some of the conduct that the building commissioner, Steve Selvey, had with employees. That complaint
No comment.
got to the point of mediation. And
So doesn't that mean that the city has admitted
the
some
city,
culpability?
well, it means the city could be liable for a settlement.
They don't.
But the problem is, I don't know what the specific blow up between her and him were, but he decided to fire her, and that looks like direct retaliation
For what?
for filing a complaint based on sexual
What
harassment
did he
and
fire her for?
insubordination. And that's a big, broad term.
It is. It's like intimidation.
Well,
Subjective.
Again, it's going to...
It has no definition.
Like again, the federal government will decide what happens, but the problem is she was the only woman of color in that office.
And this is something, yet again, it's going to put us on the map of Muncie when you Google Muncie, Indiana, another disparaging race and sexual harassment.
Well, and as you heard at the council meeting the other night, Wayne Scape, who's a member of
Yes.
the Muncie Human Rights Commission. He's been reporting on the lack of people of color and even women that are hired with the Muncie Police and Fire Departments.
Yes, he
Now
has
that's
been
hiring,
very diligent about those numbers too.
and that hiring is always done by a merit commission. It was set up years ago for a bipartisan appointed group of people to run the application, the testing, and then the hiring.
But the elephant in the room during that was the fact that affirmative action just got canceled the week before. I was waiting on someone to say it because I know I wasn't the only one wondering where that leaves everybody, because would that be under ethics going forward then?
Well, the law still says you can't discriminate, you can't retaliate, you can't harass
Yes.
employees,
But
especially
as
when
far as
they're...
what Skates is talking about on the amount
Oh,
of
the
minorities being hired as opposed to whites being hired, whether they're male or female, there's a definite discrepancy there.
Yeah.
But if there's no affirmative action, then is that something that
Well,
the city has to even look at?
Every time they put out new roll calls for police and fire applicants, they qualify it by saying we encourage, people of all colors, all genders, all people
Yes, but
to apply. But
but-
that doesn't mean that they will meet the testing or skills standards and ultimately be hired.
Yeah, so it's a big gray area that's kind of been opened up by affirmative action getting canceled. And not only that, I think everybody out there, look, we the people, all of us. All right? If you're a people, that covers you in the Constitution, all right? So everybody should have equal access to these jobs and this education to get these jobs.
Oh, of course.
Right?
I mean,
But if it's not being done, I think it's an ethical thing. I mean...
I think you could, but see, we have a local human rights commission, and we haven't paid much attention to it.
We need to.
And Yvonne Thompson, who's been the longtime human rights director, pointed out to me about a meeting on Monday where they are going to have something to say, whether it's on affirmative action, whether it's other cases involving discrimination or harassment of city employees by city
Ms. Carey couldn't have done this
employers.
Something had to happen big for Ms. Carey to go to that length.
Oh,
she's not an unreasonable woman. She's not a.
I've known her for years.
She's not
and of course I've known Steve for years too. And
yes.
And like I say,
and reputations precede each other.
Well, I don't know. I
don't even have to say if it's good or bad.
People know. What do I always say, Liz? It takes two to dance.
Well,
so we're going to see what the federal government says about this.
Karma is an MFer.
Oh,
right?
Now.
Yeah, it is. Sorry.
But yeah, this story is another exclusive.
Yeah, and it's developing.
Did get the attention of council, even though council said it's not their business. Well, if the federal government makes the city pay a settlement, yeah, they appropriate the money.
If I'm a city councilman for that city, and that city might be responsible for race and sexual harassment, I absolutely, as a citizen of that city, think that is my responsibility. Okay,
well, we'll
just
see.
as a human being.
We'll see.
Come on. This is 2023. This isn't the dark ages. I mean, for crying out loud, we're still dealing with this. I just can't even believe it. Well, we have one more update, and we're going to talk about Rick's favorite part of our announcements is the mayor's weekly community.
Oh, what did he say this week?
Well, nothing.
What?
Not really anything.
I didn't see it.
I saw it, and basically he said the exact same things about the roads.
Really?
That they were, except for that Madison was now open. And I find that
hard
to believe.
roundabout?
If it's open after the state that it was in a week or so ago when Audie was showing us what he was showing us in his videos, Audie Barber, then it absolutely got finished in some par standard. And we're going to have, mark my words, there'll be another issue with that down the road, 5 to 10 years, we'll be
Yeah,
doing
there
this
seems
again.
to be some ground conditions
Yes.
there that aren't.
And there seems to be
conducive
some
roads.
standard about paving that's not being met, that would have been better met within a professional paving company.
Oh, are you saying that was a city job? It wasn't a contractor doing the work?
Yes, it absolutely was.
Okay.
So the mayor just went around and he said that was the only thing different was that it had just opened. Everything else was repetitive. Everything else is the same thing he said a week ago. And if that's true, and he didn't have anything to report, I would want to know why. I would raise hell if I was him. What
He
has
wasn't
not
even-
been done in a
He
week?
wasn't even talking about events.
Now, he
We
did
got
talk
a lot
about
of them
events, but I'm
this
talking
weekend.
about the roads.
Oh,
He
okay.
spent half the time on roads and the other half with a few events.
Yeah, because
And there's nothing to tell him. Why
You can-
didn't he have something to say in 7 days with all these projects going on all over town?
that's a
There
good-
wasn't one single update other than we opened this up.
that is a good question.
You know, and if that's all you have to say, maybe you shouldn't do the community update. I will say this. This week, he actually toted in the events a
What?
facility, a venue that is in Muncie city limits because they are being made to go to the Muncie water system, so they're included in it.
Okay.
I knew that because my friends own it. Shout out to Sid, love you. And they gave a shout out to one of the biggest weekends that the Water Bowl has. And the Water Bowl is an historic landmark around here. It's
Been here
around
since
for-
I've been a kid.
And so it is right outside of town there. And they have the summer bash every year, and they bring so many bands. It's a pre-sold event. They go from Thursday until Sunday. This whole weekend, it's actually closed to the general public. So you have to have a ticket, and they're kind of, you know, they're up there because of the amount of bands that you see and the amount of days, and they have free beer, free food, camping. It's
Yeah,
all
it's way
inclusive.
cool. It's worth the gate,
It
I'll
is.
tell you.
It
It's not
is.
just the
And
music,
they're
it's
packed.
the food and beverage.
So I appreciate the mayor actually, you know, giving a shout out
Recognizing
to
that there
somebody.
are
Yeah,
huge venues that.
They will start working on next year's summer bash
Oh, yeah.
as soon as this one's over.
Yeah,
We'll start next week.
I've been to a few over my life.
They are
and
amazing.
They are the
The
biggest.
organizers are just fantastic.
Yeah,
They're all
they're the biggest
inclusive.
and
They
the
take care of everything for her. And they come out and they helped when the Water Bowl got squatted in, and then there was some vandalism out there, and the boys from the Summer Bash come in and helped Sydney.
Oh, that's
get
great.
that
That's
great.
what friends are
And
for.
that's what happens when you utilize small business around here and you help them, they help you.
Mhm.
I see a lot of that go on in the bars these days, even though there isn't a bar association here anymore. They do help each other, and they're going and visiting each other's bars and having conversations
Well,
and
that-
introducing themselves.
That's just like with churches
Yes.
and community groups
Absolutely.
that help each other.
Absolutely, because you know,
We all
if
gotta
we're
help
not
each other.
connecting and we're not unifying, then we are dividing further the things that are already divided. I mean, it's just going to get crazy.
Yeah, just like in Washington.
Yes. So that's pretty much all he said, except for he's going to have the Dream with Dan next Thursday at the fairgrounds, and it's going to be
Really?
at 3 p.m.
Interesting.
Yes. So, what day is the Republican Day?
I think it's Thursday too.
I thought so.
But Bill Benson is going to have a ride-in at the fair on Thursday with that popular band. You know who they are, Stone's
Stone's
Throw.
Throw,
So
my
we'll be
boy.
there. Yeah, we'll be there.
Yes, we will absolutely be there because Liz does not work at the bar on Thursday.
Really?
Yeah, I usually paint. That's when I do my painting. And
Oh yeah,
everything.
you
I'm
are.
going to take the Thursday off, and I'm going to go see Dream with Dan.
I'm going to go watch
and visit
Stone's
some of
Throw.
my Republican friends. I doubt that very many of them will be there at the
concert.
event.
Well, they'll hear them because you know how loud
Yeah, they
those
are.
guys
And they're
are.
going to be outside, so it's going to be a
And
show.
there's going to be a lot of bikers there too.
Yes, it is. They're having a ride right before that. I
Right.
believe. So it's a packed day. So Thursday, the 20th, is when you're going to want to be at the fair.
Yeah, but you want to tell too that on the 19th you got the big fair auction with all the animals, and
That's
a lot of
right.
people come in
They
for
do. They come
that.
to look at them.
And then the Democrats are there on Wednesday night serving ice cream and cake. So we will at least want
Let
to be
them
fair.
eat cake.
Let them eat cake. I think they have in the last few elections.
then he just ended with other events that were going on, and we'll go ahead and put them out there at the end of the
Oh yeah, there's a
podcast.
lot of stuff going on. It's
Yeah.
summer.
And we'll hit that at the very end, that way it's fresh in your minds. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we got 2 top stories this week. One is about the roads and our further investigation, and then and the
No, the YMCA.
the YMCA, but I meant on the roads. We're also looking at the EEOC, right?
No, we're looking at what federal money that the city is trying to get.
Or may
to
have already
fix
gotten.
McGalliard and Tilton, which are
Way
terrible.
down the road. Yeah, and then we have a breaking news story that, boy, it was a slippery little sucker. Once we heard about it, and we want to thank our, I'm not going to tell her name, but
Our
asked her
friends.
permission.
Our friends.
But she's a member of my Delaware County group and a member of the Manifest Destiny Reporter. And she shot us a message about an issue there with the YMCA that we weren't aware of, that we didn't receive information on. But following that and getting it confirmed with 2 sources was a bit difficult, wasn't it?
Takes more time than it used to be.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to go right into our top stories. So stick around and don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Whistler. It's a podcast talk show with Elisabeth Edgell and Mr. Rick Yencer. And we are back to our story section, and we have two big breaking news stories for you today. And the first one is, it's not so much breaking as it is, it's becoming, it may end up being the issue of the election. Because people have put this, they joke about it. Mm-hmm. Because I saw some of the mayors, people that work in the mayor's office, talking to people, and it was said in such a way, and I wouldn't share it again, I'm not telling the name.
Oh, okay.
But this person works in the mayor's office, and she was like, you people need to understand that we've explained this many times, and you just need to stop asking so many questions because we've already explained it.
That is a reoccurring theme that I hear with a lot of city officials. We've either told the people it's online or...
Yeah, and they do that while they're on their cell phone. It's online.
Yeah, well, not
you
everybody
can't
has
even
a
give your
cell
full
phone.
attention.
Not everybody was paying attention when they said it either.
And not only that, but not everybody works that way. The reason I started out with social media and cell phones and all that is because I'm in business for myself. And to get customers, you have to meet them on their level, what they like to do, how they like to receive information.
And how you
Not
can get
everybody's
their
online.
and how you can get their attention.
And we live in the Midwest, in Indiana even, and there's a lot of old farming people here and people that are set in their ways, and it doesn't include doing their stuff online.
Hey, I resemble that.
That's their prerogative, you know? So when we look at the roads, I want to show you, I took this off of maybe 2 hours ago, off of the pothole reporting system.
Oh,
remember that Dan's holes?
Yeah, the virtual pothole report.
I like that. I like Dan's holes. Damn it, Dan.
Dan's holes.
Dan's holes.
Well, he is the mayor. He is responsible.
He is. I mean, that's the most accountability I've seen so far. But I digress. Let's look at what the pothole system looks like right now. Now, every one of those dots is at least one, if not several, depending on how they were reported into the system. And the city, you're supposed to be able to go through and click on them and see whether the city's working on them or if someone has reported them. Mm-hmm. So if they're up there, they're still either in the process or they are not touched yet. They don't have the ones that are finished on there.
What about the unreported ones?
It's a GIS system, so people started reporting this when this first came out a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I pushed it in the group big time because I thought, what a great thing.
Yeah.
A data system that the citizens can be a part of.
And it's interactive.
And just to that degree, right? There's no follow-up on it.
Really?
There's people who have reported them 2 years ago and they're still got a pothole there. They don't follow up, they don't. And they've replaced this system with actually calling and making a report. They'll direct you to this.
It always used to be done.
Yeah, now you get an answering machine that tells you.
Well, I usually get a live person. That's one of the few departments or few city offices you get a live person instead of a phone tree.
Yes, but when you go,
that you never can get.
When you ask to make a report on a pothole, there's a department that deals with that.
A street
So
department.
you're kicked over to their service, which gives you the website.
No, they've got a direct line down to the street barn.
And I'm telling you, people are having trouble reaching them in person.
Okay.
And so when I bring up this system, everybody laughs me out of the room.
No.
Because this is apparently, and I can't speak from my own experience, but apparently it's laughable at best. So I found this on the website too, which I thought was interesting. Let's see, let me get closer so I can see it. Another goal, well, let's first read this whole thing. The Muncie Street Problem Reporting Hub is a site, I can't read that, can you see it? Hosted and managed by the Delaware County GIS Department for the City of Muncie. The goal of this project is to leverage public reporting mapping technology and geospatial analysis to bring together a better picture of the issues facing the community for our elected leaders and department heads. Another goal is to make government operations more transparent and accessible to the public by allowing the public to view problems and their resolutions We feel that this gives the public a better understanding on the efforts of their government. I would have really liked them to say that this street problem reporting system hub, their main goal is to have our streets be safe and passable and not break our tires.
Exactly.
And that is their number one thing that they care about right now. The rest of it can go hang right now. We are in a disastrous shape with these roads.
I drive around all the time. It's like I told you a couple of weeks ago about when we went to a gathering out in Old Shire. The whole neighborhood was filled with potholes, and they hadn't touched it. The neighbors, the people said they hadn't seen it done in years. So see, they're not really doing anything about the roads.
And
they're talking about the roads. They're making lists about the roads. They just paid a contractor this week for work they did last year, and they're still working on a list for this year when they get more state money and when they get all the money from their own.
Well, there's actually a 2023 street paving plan, and they gave you the 2022 one.
I know, they're still working on the 23 plan.
Yeah, they're
and this is July.
The plan's in the you can look it up online.
But if you look, some of those roads are just...
They're the same ones that we've been working on since 2019.
Exactly, and like the city engineer said, they've got about half of those roads done.
Oh, that's what he said?
That's what he said after I asked him, and he gave me a list of all the roads. So I went over, because, you know, the mayor's always been talking about, too, Liz, that, we're going to get we're going to fix Tillotson and McGuire.
Not just 2025 or 26.
Tillotson and McGuire were concrete roads that were made back in the 60s.
And they were talking about it in 19 or 18.
And they're just like interstates, that they will be very expensive to fix or even replace.
Oh, didn't we get the cross thing, $1 million?
Crossroads from the state.
Yeah.
Now that's a different source of money from the state of Indiana that gives cities, towns, and counties money to fix roads.
Twice a year.
I'm talking about the the Department of Transportation, the federal government, that also has a pile of money to fix everything from roads, the bridges, the airports, the railroads.
Like I said, we also budget for this, and we're now at the beginning of his term, budgeted double what they had in years prior.
Well, and I talked to the Metropolitan Plan Commission today. I think her name was Kristen, who said that they've got 3 projects for federal grant funding. The last one we saw here lately was Wheeling Avenue between Centennial and McGuire. Now they've got an East and West McGuire project for federal money with $6 to $8 million, and then there's another $6 million project for Tillotson between McGuire and Kilgore. But I think that's way under budget because, again, those are concrete streets. Concrete costs a lot more and takes a lot more work to fix than asphalt. So
here's some numbers, and I saw an old video of an update on the streets in
last year?
2021.
Okay, a couple of years.
And it was Donnie Wright talking about them then. And they had built that year 12,000 potholes, 500 tons of hot mix, 1,231 sign replacements, and they did that with 15 full-time employees. Okay, so they were going to spend in 2022, before things really got rough, $5.5 million on the potholes, right? And those lists that I know that they made public in 2020, 2021, 2020, because we've been talking about this for years now.
And those lists have been out there online.
They're not out there anymore.
Oh, they're not?
They're really hard to find. And I've got to get my, I lost my old computer and then it was resurfaced, but I've got to get the old computer out and look because I'm pretty sure I have them saved on there. But to find the repaving plans, there's one for 20 to 23. That's the whole time, that's what they put out in 2020 before really COVID was taking over. And, but that plan's gone the sideline way ago. In 2021 there was one, 2022 you have in your hands, and 2023 is online. You can access it. Why he didn't give you that one, I'll never know.
Well, the engineer said they were still putting it together. But see, they have to apply this month to the state for the crossroads.
Yes, there's some of it on the plan clearly has ones that they've been paid for and ones that they're still waiting on approval for. So I mean, it's broke up, so you can understand it. It's not hard. But I'm saying that there's some on the few that I can still drag up. There's some of the same streets.
I know because
But we had, if you look back in newspaper stories, before COVID really took over, we were getting stimmy money and stuff. They had it all worked out. They had $1 million for sidewalks.
yeah, there was some federal money, federal American Rescue funds that were put in the streets
On top of budgeted money,
on top of local money, state money,
federal money.
or this federal money coming down the
Right.
pike.
And so, to me, they've been being paid and spending budgets to fix the same roads that are on the list years later. So where's the money?
Well, and if you look through the claims last year, the only big ticket that has been paid to a primary contractor was Wednesday for about $1.3 million, which is mostly work done last year.
Yep.
That's
And
all we've seen.
The sanitation department, because of that agreement, gave them one.
Oh yeah, they signed a deal not that long ago to kick
So
back.
there's all
on
kinds of kickbacks. There's all kinds of little deals because
intergovernment.
They had that in place before COVID took over, and there was extra money. All right, but all we heard for 2 years was, "Oh, we can't use that money we just got on the streets or sidewalks." Then when we could, we did. Sorry, but when we could, we went ahead and re-looked at those things, and we got money for them because it was a little late coming in.
We need to keep looking.
But they were budgeting all along for it.
And you, as the people that pay these taxes, you need to follow up with your council too, because budgets are coming up next month. And what needs to happen is council needs to take a little bit more control on how the administration's spending its money.
That's right. As a matter of fact, I will be going to the council, and I spoke with a couple of them last week, and I'll be emailing others. I think, and several people out here that I've talked to in places of leadership and in important roles across city and county government agree. Many medium-sized cities like we are here in Muncie, they don't appropriate the whole amount of the mayor's edit fund. What they do is they put the whole amount there, but every time that he spends, he needs to go to the council, and they appropriate the money. They give final approval.
I know they do that elsewhere,
and it works well.
But I know other communities. Let's just take Anderson. Anderson's this month is finally appropriating stimming money that they've had for a year sitting around in a bank. So see, it's not like
well, we need a checks and balances, something that's fair to both
that's
parties.
the
And
way.
that's all I'm asking.
No, that's the way government's set up.
I have watched this mayor be told, no, we don't want to spend that by Board of Works or city council, and he just uses his edit fund.
Sure.
Well, what I'm interested in is he's supposed to submit a document.
There is a provision where he has to submit a plan to
I'm going to do a Freedom of Information Act, and if you don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I'd like to know too.
Yeah, if you don't know what a Freedom of Information Act request is, it is all about public information, which is the cornerstone of what we do here. And what you do, it's based on the Freedom Act. And what that means is that we have a right to public information about our government, about their administrative things, their emails,
it's our money.
Everything. That's right. They work for us. And so they are us. That's what it's supposed to be, representative of the people. Government's not supposed to be against us. They're supposed to be us.
It's not their money,
yes,
it's ours.
Not.
But I do want to see that edit plan
too.
Because I'm still wondering about the economic impact of spending $45,000 to bring an old musician to town to try out yet another music venue at Ball State.
It's been playing since the 70s.
Well,
I mean, it's not hitting any of the generations.
It's at a Ball State venue too. It's more this what I keep saying about consolidation of the institutions of our community.
Well, I'm going to be trying to put together the list that we've been given each year for the streets. I'm going to go to each street, Rick and I are, and we're going to see the progress on every single street that's been put on the list since 2020.
You don't trust the maps?
I can't even, no. I sure don't. I don't trust. So I just want to see for myself, because seeing is believing, and standing there.
Well, yeah,
in
in
the midst
person.
of
See,
it.
that's
Already
an-
taught us that
yeah.
this week. You know, things are falling through the cracks here, and it's
Oh,
getting so complicated. It's so complicated, and information's being spread out so far
No,
wide.
or we don't even get the information.
Yes, and that's what this whole
That,
podcast is about.
Yeah, like the state employment office not even saying that they moved down the street until
That's
we asked.
insanity. And then, you know, the not
Well-
giving our claims, our amounts, or
Oh,
anything.
just nickel and diming
and
us
talking
on
about a $6 claim when you just said you're spending thousands.
Millions.
Yeah,
Millions.
I just can't wrap my head around it.
Okay, Liz.
So, and then the discrimination thing on top of everything.
Oh,
It's an election year. I thought that we were supposed to kind of
What?
ixnay on the crazy.
what we need to get along?
Well, I mean, you would think appearances would be something. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
well, if you think all of that was news to you, wait till you see what's next.
Oh my. Okay, I'm gonna let you start, Rick.
Okay.
But wait a minute. Let's see here.
Oh yeah, you need to show.
We need to preface this, do we?
Yeah, let's look at this monument they built back in 1976, and I was there when they built the downtown Y, and it was supposed to be for everybody, and it was also centrally located to help people that might not have a way.
Yes.
Because again, the men's Y gave up on housing people a long time ago.
Well, the men's Y still allows them through the mission. To have
Well,
a
that's
place.
when the mission got its
Right.
mission was still downtown across the street, and then they built that new place out on Liberty and Memorial.
Yes.
But let's roll up 20 years later to when the Y saw the future out there in Northwest Muncie, and they built these, I call them pole barns,
Yeah.
playing fields for ball, for tennis, for volleyball, for basketball. Those three big red barns out there at Bethel and Chatham became the Northwest Y.
Yeah, and
And-
6% of our citizens play tennis out there.
Well, that was cool 20 years ago, but it's not cool today. Well, let's fast forward to 10 years ago when the Y came out to Yorktown, an infamous pay-to-play place with golf courses, Munciana volleyball, and the town, the government built an $8 million sports center. And what they did with that sports center was immediately give it away to members only. The Munciana soccer, and of course the Y. Now in today's story that we broke, we have found out, and we got confirmed just about an hour ago after somebody told us that they're closing the downtown Y before they're building the new Y on the site of the Muncie Central School and Field
They're
House.
closing it August 4th, right?
Yeah, Chad Zakanda, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. They brought him in from outside a couple years ago to run the Y, and immediately they started to look at that the Y downtown had, I guess it seen its
And
better
then,
days.
No, wait. This is also a point of disparity between people. All right?
Okay. Why?
The people that did the studies on Tui Pool when they talked about putting it at Tui Park, the people that looked into it could never find any information saying that, other than the building itself, that a new Y was even needed.
Exactly. Well, see, I skipped over the recent history. The Y, which seemed to be falling on hard times because you've got other places, everything from Ball State University with bigger and better facilities, and the way of the future, Planet Fitness, that for just a
Yes.
few bucks a month you can go.
$10 a month when they started.
Yeah, you can do all the machines. You can do all, and we've got a lot of
Bands.
we've got a lot of CrossFit places too, two or three
Yes.
of those.
We do.
So, but if you look back to history, the Y was exclusively what it was, as far as even having a place, not just to play, but a place to come. And of course they're faith-based, so they have Bible studies at the Y too. But lately they have turned into more of what people want, whether it's in Northwest Muncie and Yorktown. But yeah, you're right, Liz, that back a couple of years ago the Y wanted to go to public grounds, government grounds. Neighborhood didn't want them at Toohey. Toohey wasn't that big enough.
Well, we're not giving away our land, our public land, to a private facility.
Government couldn't do that, but the schools, which are run by Ball State University, did. They gave a piece of property between Central and the Field House land for the new modern Y, and they keep arguing about whether, you know, they did the right thing. But you know, it's, I've brought up repeatedly, you know, you're bringing faith-based programs into public education, and that is not, a lot of people don't want to see that.
Now you have members who are used to going downtown.
Oh, and you've got a members only. The people can't use the Y, but they're getting public money.
Yes,
and they're getting public land. And they're getting even more because this week the school board up the ante, and their issue, the schools say that they're helping fund and operate the Y because they want a new competition pool for students. And of course, there were pools at every one of those high schools, Central, North, and South, but they've let them kind of fade, and you know, water and concrete.
Yes.
It only lasts a few years.
Now, it's kind of timely to come on the heels of the new Central football field.
Oh, well, yeah, that's another issue that we pointed out the other day, that they're still trying to get that stadium built, and it's going to be a coin flip whether they get it done or not. But I guess the Y on Tuesday morning, they're going to have a groundbreaking at the new site. But on August 4th, they're going to close the downtown Y, and they've told members that you still have two other facilities, the Northwest and Yorktown. But in a plan, I think that you read, that ultimately their goal is to close down the Northwest Y, which
the tennis courts.
I was out there today, and there had to be at least 50 cars and probably more people in there, and that is one of the biggest users of the service. I just, you know, and again,
this is the benefits to the new facility. And my problem is that the YMCA does not house any people.
They don't take care of what it used to be.
Yeah, they don't house any men. They don't house any homeless people. This is a community, kind of a community grouping thing where you can go and all-inclusive workout and, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
You pay to play. But the YWCA, now the YMCA received $500,000 from the foundation, the community foundation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they get that every year, and they continue to receive that. But the YWCA, who actually does do the only housing of women and children in town, and they are got a waiting list for that.
Oh, yeah, there's only...
there's so much.
There might be another shelter, but again, they're the primary shelter for women and children.
Yes, and there's so much need for the women and children shelter that women my age, around 50, with no children,
right,
cannot stay there. There's never room for them. Because
well,
they got to take care of the families.
I've known...
And we can't stay at the mission either.
Exactly.
So there's nowhere for women, and talk about falling through the cracks. And you're spending all this money and you're not going to house a single person. Do you know they raised over $25 million in the private hush-hush section of this? That's what it said.
Money.
What they said is there was an area of this plan, the campaign that they called it, where it was kept private. By the time they went public, they'd already
raised.
Yes, all but $3 million some odd change of it. So they only have $3 million to go, and guess who they want that money from? You, the people. They want donations.
Oh, I forgot. I just talked to Jim Williams, who's president of the school board.
Yes, you did.
And during this interim period, when the old Y's closed and the new Y opens, Y members get to use Central's pool. because there aren't any other pools downtown.
And there's
there
not
aren't pools at those two other
They've got to get
facilities.
schedules for that and send them.
Well, they have to wait for,
And
you
of
know,
course they
students still
can't.
come first.
They do.
But Jim assured me that the Y is compensating them for that. Well, here's how much the schools are compensating the Y over the next 25 years. Not only are they going to make a balloon payment of $1.8 million for that pool that they want competition ready for the students, they're also giving them a yearly operating balance of around $131,000 for the next 25 years.
And they were in
They are
financial straits before
They
this.
are directly subsidizing the Y's operation. And,
Yes, they are.
and again, that's another issue that why is public education subsidizing a faith-based
Yeah.
group?
And a group that doesn't house a single homeless person or
well,
help with that situation.
Yeah, but see, they're not sustainable. They're not
No, they're
telling you that their membership is fading, along with things that they thought would make it go just a generation or two ago.
Women are being beset on all sides here, okay? This, I know for a fact that what good the YWCA does in this.
Oh, they do, yeah.
They
There's
good
no
that they
place
do.
else for
Latasha,
women and
she does amazing
children.
work there, and no one ever complains. There's never an issue at the YWCA, except for that they don't have enough room to serve the actual need. And talk about falling through the cracks. Women and children. Children, our future. Okay?
Well, here's an idea, because in this ongoing shuffle of what the Y will be and who's going to subsidize it, whether it's a public or private or members, maybe the mayor, who will have control over the old YMCA, should build yet another shelter
Yeah, that'd be great for
families.
women and children.
Because again, there's still a lot of people that are homeless, and I thought that's what the Y was about when it was created in merry old England in the 19th century.
Like I said,
it
just
took
to
care
see-
of people.
To see the YWCA work so hard and so diligently through the years, and they are actually making a difference immediately in people's lives, and to see
Yeah,
this,
go to other communities and see. But-
this is just an unbelievable expense and a bailout, in my opinion.
Well,
It's
it's
big.
public money. It's you, the taxpayers, who are now subsidizing the YMCA. And
Yeah.
do you get free membership?
No, of course not. It's so expensive. I couldn't afford it when my children were at home.
Okay. Well, enough
We
said
had to play on
there.
the Cardinal Greenway.
Oh,
So we're going to talk about some events going on.
oh yeah, there's a lot. It's summer.
No, we're going to have more on the roads. We're going to have more on YW. We're
Oh,
going to have
it's a
more.
continuing.
We're going to have more on how claims are done. We're going to have more on discrimination story that's going on.
Now
Ethics.
we're not going to let everything fall through. the
No,
cracks.
we're not. We're going to keep.
We're gonna
going
try.
to keep talking. And so events going on. We already said we have the summer bash going on at the Water Bowl. If you don't have your tickets, I'm not even sure if they have any left, so you'll have to get a hold of
Right.
them. But keep in mind, it is closed to the general public until Sunday. All right, so Sunday you can go back and go swimming, everybody. Then we have a dump truck, which is going to be tonight at the Hitching Post, which is out on East Jackson. And then we have Jansen Levens that'll be there tomorrow. And then we have Stone's Throw, which is going to be out at
Fairgrounds.
the fairgrounds, like we
On
said, on
Thursday.
Thursday. Dream with Dan is going to be out there on
Is
Thursday.
that an event?
Yes, it is. It's
Well-
not really, but it is. And then Mike Mulligan and the Steam Shovels, which we've had at the Hitching Post, great band. They've been around a long time. They are renowned all over. People know them. It's great music. And where's that going to be? The second
Oh, that's
story.
the second story at the farm
Yes,
market
they have
downtown.
they have some great bands in there. I went in there with Miss Rose Selvey, your city council at large, and she's running for office again too. But we go there and we saw Doc Peterson play there. His
Doc,
band.
Doc hangs out there, and so does Heather
There was
Marie
about,
and
yes, Heather was there that
her.
night too. So they have a lot of great food there. If you haven't checked out Second Story and you like downtown
Yeah,
Fox,
Dave and Sarah do a good job.
Oh,
and
they're amazing.
He had a cooker out there on the street, and I said, "Hey, you got a permit for this?" He said, "Ah, well, we're just going to cook out here." So yeah, look for the cooker at Mulberry and Maine, and you'll find Second Story. It's some old
and stop and meet Sarah and Dave and get to know them, because Sarah's just one of the sweetest people you ever met, and she's a big supporter of Delaware County Community Awareness, and we appreciate our local business.
And
that.
like I say, organic food is still a big deal.
That's right. They have a good choice down there of that. So there you have it, Delaware County. That's what's going on in our little corner of the world, and we're gonna keep at it. Now, if there's some sort of breaking news in the next few days, we might break in with a short little blurb or a short podcast. But
Well, you get threads up, and we'll see how many of those 31 million people are actually around here.
Right. So if you have any questions about anything or you want more information, just get a hold of me, and you can do that in countless ways. Just Google me, you'll find me. And Rick is available to you.
I'm always hobnobbing around.
And if you have anything that you want us to look into for you that you think doesn't quite smell right, just let us know. We'll be happy to check it out for you. All right? And confidentiality is what we're about, because we're journalists here. Okay?
Exactly. Well, I'm a newsman. You might be a journalist.
It's semantics. Tomato.
No, it's big
All
difference,
right.
kid.
I will talk to you later, and have a great week and weekend, Delaware County. Be safe.
Thank you.
Mhm.